When W239BF Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City from the High Falls Studios under overcast skies. But we're not down about that. Camp is back. Bills are back in town. We got a lot to talk about here today. We're on 95.7 FM, AM 950, streaming for free inside the Odyssey app. We're on YouTube and on Twitch. You want to interact, a few ways you could do so. If you're busy and you just want to reach us out on social media, by all means, probably the easiest way, at WGR Rochester is our handle on X. You can leave a comment on YouTube and Twitch as well, or you could just give us a call on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 585-866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com. The team is all intact. We are done with our summertime vacations, although I should say Dandelion at some point is going back to the Adirondacks. I should stop there. I know I'm done. Tim, you never go on vacation.
I have one appointment. I might have more, but I have one appointment in September, and that's the only thing on my slate.
That is, yeah, and you start taking care of yourself, you're going to have more appointments.
I'm trying. I think I'm doing a good job.
Try hard. So, we will be joined. You know it's football season where, hey, it's Tuesday. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, the Shout podcast, will join us at about 2:25 today as – you know, we love camp here, and, you know, Matt's not going to complain, but I've heard other reporters, Jay Skursky, and others just complain about having to drive to Rochester. I suppose it would be like in reverse if, like, you know, we had a team and we had to go somewhere else to cover that. But Matt is not one of those guys. Matt will join us here today at in the 2 o'clock hour and preview Bills camp and just see how things are going in that regard. As reporting today, veterans, it's closed to the public, closed to the media. I'm sure there'll probably be some sort of team meeting. And then 8:30 tomorrow, which in all the years of training camp, I don't recall a day where we had the opening practice just kind of maybe a rainout. I thought that's what we were going to have today, and this is kind of a welcome surprise. Welcome surprise for the Rochester Red Wings, too. They got that big promotion tonight, the Ernie Clement bobblehead giveaway, which for my job here at Odyssey Rochester, I also help people with their advertising, right? So I'm out meeting an advertiser today, Weckes Brick, and I'm on my way back into the studio at somewhere a little before noon, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get off at Brown and Broad here and just kind of drive by the stadium. Because I'm always curious, if you want that Ernie Clement bobblehead, at what time do you get in line? And I thought we might have saw like one or two people there. The line hadn't even started. But again, this was just a little before noon today. So that I kind of understand. But if you're somebody who wants the bobblehead, it's only the first 1,000 tonight. It would be a nice Rochester collectible. And it is one of those things where I see it on both sides, meaning, hey, you want to do something nice for your fan base, and here's kind of a nice promotion. Maybe we get a third party to tie in and, you know, place their logo on it, and that'll help defray the cost. But we can't have like thousands and thousands of these lying around. That's not our business here. You want so in other words, you don't want the kid going home crying because they didn't get the Ernie Clement bobblehead. And my suggestion is just kind of plan ahead for something like that. The Amherst did this with the Don Stevens bobblehead, and they didn't have like this unlimited supply. So if the bobblehead is your thing, well, then you know you got to get there in time. And I was just wondering how it was going to work if we were going to be rained out. It looks like the forecast is going to hold up tonight. So that's good for the Wings, who coming off a split with the Bisons over the week. Yesterday on the show, we talked to Wings manager Matt Lecroy. In terms of sports bar guests that I just feel like, oh, my gosh, I could just ask this guy questions. I could just listen to him talk baseball all day. He's one of them. If you missed that, it's wherever you get your fine audio in podcast form, thanks to the Dandelion, including our website, WGR Rochester. 585-866-4326. We are on the air weekdays 1 to 3 Eastern here in the Flower City. So I'm just wondering, do the Bills know the concept of a focus group? Like, I think everybody is kind of calmed down here just a little bit, but if you're a Bills fan and you're bitching about the uniforms, well, then just be thankful that, that's the number one thing you're bitching about. Like, there's some teams right now, I'm not kidding. Hey, who's going to be our quarterback? Should we tank? Oh, my gosh, our defensive player might be holding out. What are we going to do? In terms of complaints right now, your only complaint is, hey, this team, it hasn't happened for us yet here. Will it happen this season? All right, well, that's the magic of the season coming up. Will this be the one for the Buffalo Bills? But you can't bitch about that. Let's just kind of wait and find out. The people bitching about the uniforms today or yesterday, and I've seen some interesting takes. I mean, Bulldog had the take, like, wait a second, you're blue collar. Okay, blue collar people can't exactly afford that stadium that's really white collar. And then the Buffalo News also had their cartoon about it. That's one. Other things that I've seen, it's mainly the helmet or the gray or whatever it is. We don't listen to our fan base, but it is something, and this is something that you're just going to have to get used to as a sports fan, and it's no different in Buffalo. In baseball, you may not like a particular uniform. Say you're a Padre fan and you didn't like I don't think they wear them anymore, the zoo uniforms they used to call them. Like flamingos and bright colors and everything. That doesn't look like the Padres. Well, that's where we're at. Like, if there's money to be made, that's what's going to happen. I just didn't think there'd be any money to be made off of, gray jerseys, basically. It's kind of and I found it amusing, too, that everybody went to work in Photoshop or AI and, like, how could we actually make this better? And if you swap that out with the red helmet and it's a different look, okay, that might look a little different. To me, it's not the gray jersey. It's the blue helmet. The blue helmet, which is a new logo, and it's kind of a new primary color on the helmet, obviously. It's a little jarring. You won't see those at camp, by the way. You'll see two jerseys at camp. Ready? The offense will wear white, and the defense will wear blue. Oh, and the quarterbacks will wear red. And that'll be about it. I think the kickers also wear red.
They do.
The non-contact stuff. So camp will be tomorrow, 8:30 in the morning, the first practice out at St. John Fisher. We're all going to be all over it. We'll keep you updated. Matt Perino will join us a little later today. Mike Catalana, 13 Wham, will join us tomorrow from Buffalo Plus, as that's always been our tradition. First day of camp, check in with the icon and get his thoughts here. Look, if you're one that, and this is the mentality, like if some people are very excited about camp, I see this or very excited about the season. That's great. Others are check in January until they do something. To set yourself up for January, and this is the drumbeat I'm going to bang away this year on this team. 2 years ago, entering camp, and this was post-Diggs, right? Stephon Diggs no longer part of the team. And my take was, what has to happen for the Buffalo Bills? Their quarterback needs to play an MVP level. We've seen it, but we know he can ramp it up another notch. And then a funny thing happened. He did just that. Josh Allen rose his game to an MVP level. Now, maybe voters and people, it swayed in Josh's direction because you looked at the receiving core. I'm like, it's not all it. And the Lamar camp, I don't want to revisit all that. But the bottom line was Josh Allen was the MVP. And I was wrong. That wasn't enough. Kansas City still outdueled you. It came down to a fourth down play. The defense didn't come up with a needed play on time in that AFC Championship game. Okay. Well, then my take this year is my same take as last year. Ready? You got to make it easy yourself in January. You do. For all these years. And they've been fun. Can we just admit it? There have been some fun wins mixed in with some heartbreaking, head-scratching, how did that happen losses. But in the end, you're still playing in January. This team hasn't missed the postseason since Josh Allen's sophomore season in the NFL. Second season, I guess you would call it. Legitimately, it's been fun. But why hasn't it happened? And I just would say getting the home field advantage, more accurately, getting that first-round bye. That first-round bye does help out. That first-round bye can get you. Is it automatically get you to the AFC Championship game, much less the Super Bowl? Of course not. But for a team that really, they're a little younger this year, certainly. But just to heal up in that first round, and you could be saying right now, Gene, you're getting ahead of yourself. I say no. This is the magic of the NFL, meaning, hey, sure, you can get to the Super Bowl as a 2, a 3. Pittsburgh won the whole darn thing as a 6. Nobody's yet to do anything significant as a 7. But in order to get to that spot, it's a lot easier as a 1. So don't fart around against the Miami Dolphins in a game in November. Don't lose to the Patriots at home in primetime in October. This is what separates football from every other sport, is that games in September mean something. Yeah. When we get to the NBA season, sure, it'll mean something for the Knicks when they host LeBron on opening night. We don't know that. I'm just predicting that. But you get to November, and that's why the NBA just kind of made up this whole in-season tournament, which, by the way, the Knicks won. Probably don't remember that. I barely remember that. And I'm a Knicks fan. Yeah, the NBA is a long season. The NHL's a long season. If the Sabres lose 3 in a row in November, let's not overreact. Let's not say it's time to make big trades or call up everybody from Rochester. Let's settle down here. That's not the case in the NFL. You're allowed a few missteps, but not too many. And beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And that was always kind of sort of an indictment of the Sean McDermott era. Like, if you go through any season, there's always been that one game like, wait a second, this team is not as good as Buffalo. How did the Jacksonville Jaguars defeat the Buffalo Bills? How did you lose to Urban Meyer? Coach, you didn't have your team ready. To me, that game last year was the one in Miami. Like, Miami was a bad team. That was probably the last shining moment for Tua in Miami. Remember that? Like, McDaniel is driving around South Beach just with the window rolled down afterward. And, yeah, and then it just all kind of fell apart for the Dolphins just right on cue.
There were a few for them last year. Like, Atlanta, they laid an egg. They lost to Davis Mills. Like, I get that Houston's defense is good, but every loss that the Bills had was a strange one.
If I had to rank them, it's still Miami, though. Still Miami. The Atlanta game we identified early on as a trap just because the Bills' defense in Atlanta had playmakers. Holy cow, they couldn't stop anything at that point. That should have been the warning sign. Like, the team's not very good, right? On that side of the ball, certainly. And it was there for the taking, just as the Houston game was there for the taking, Tim.
Oh, no, I don't disagree.
Yeah,
but that's what I think that's what makes the losses strange is, like, you're better than these teams. They should be for the taking.
Yeah,
go win them.
That's it. Yeah. So those were the ones where, like, okay, you assess. And sure enough, because the the NFL schedule makers get very kitschy. They get very cute. All right, we're going to put Buffalo kind of in their house of horrors, Houston. All right, so I wouldn't say, Tim, that this is a game, swapping Davis Mills and put in C.J. Stroud, that the Bills should win. If they lose to Houston, well, that was a team somehow that won a playoff game last year. They won the same amount of playoff games that the Buffalo won last year. I don't think that this is a layup. So, I mean, what could that game be on the schedule this year? Could it be Vegas? I don't know. Like, is the kid going to be ready at quarterback? Will they make enough plays? They've got that'll be interesting. Like, hey, here's the team with the head coach that maybe you could have had in Kubiak, but you went with Joe Brady. maybe it's not a McDermott thing. Maybe this is something that will happen to every team, and you just have to account there's going to be one, hey, they're paid professionals too, and you didn't do the things you were supposed to do. But you gotta try to minimize that. And last year the Bills were just littered with them. It just felt like a season where, all right, this kind of went in sideways. And even still, hell, the Denver game was there for the taking. 585-866-4326. Top storylines in this camp. One, it's Joe Brady. How does he manage things? How is the pace? And I can't answer that right now. I want to just kind of observe it for myself just to see, all right, is there a different sort of energy? Can these players, do the players kind of respond in like? Two, kind of part and parcel with that, since the head coach from last year is no longer there, so too is his defense. How long a process is this going to be? Does Cole Bishop take a step forward or a step backward? Like he could, I don't know. Like it wouldn't surprise me if like this defense isn't suited to the best of his abilities, or maybe playing alongside a veteran like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, all of a sudden he can make plays back there for you along with Geno Stone. The corner too, and then the camp battles, of course, too. They're always interesting to me. Like, okay, Terrell Bernard, defensive team captain last year, yeah, earned that job. Dorian Williams, 2 years ago, led the team in tackles. You have a rookie now in Caleb Elam-Zor. And that is, we talked yesterday to Ryan Talbot. And Ryan made mention that that legitimately is a camp battle. And then you have the other one that I don't think we're going to have any answers. In fact, I know we're not going to have any answers here in Pittsburgh unless something really goes wrong. That's the Keon Coleman conversation. Keon Coleman could go out there and have magical footwork and be pulling down passes and just running over people. He could look like Jerry Rice out there. And we're still going to be cynical. We're still going to say, yeah, but the pads aren't on. Yeah, but this isn't, yeah, but he knew what the play was. Whatever it was, whatever it is, we have to kind of wait on Keon Coleman until we actually see, number one, how he's using this preseason. And number two, all right, can he maintain that in September and beyond? And if you're drawing up the hierarchy for this Buffalo Bills offense, let's be honest. In terms of target share, I want Keon Coleman fifth. Okay, hear me out. DJ Moore, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid. I mean, if I asked like three different people, might get three different answers. Like, who should be the team leader in targets? And if Kincaid's knee is steady, okay, maybe that's an area of the field like the Buffalo Bills and the 2 tight end, 3 tight end formation. Like, can they open that up? Moore would be the guy you hope is the team leader. But then Shakir, the routes he ran last year, could they move him down the field a little bit, or is he still going to be the guy that you throw the bubble screen at the line of scrimmage and you hope he worms his way for 5 or 6 yards? I hope the Bills open it up a little bit more with Khalil Shakir. All three of those guys should have more targets, if healthy, than Keon Coleman. The fourth guy would surprise you because the fourth guy was actually the leading rusher in the NFL last season. Could James Cook be used a little bit more as a dual threat out of the backfield? You see this with Ty Johnson, but can you do that with James Cook on a third down play? That's debatable. Coleman is like number 4 in terms of targets, might feel right here. And that's not bad. That doesn't mean he's a failure. It doesn't mean he's a bust. It just means this is what it is. Like we could dream he's the next Eric Moulds who all of a sudden explodes in year 3 and goes from whatever it was. Moulds had like year over year 1,000 yards gaining from year 2 to year 3. That's crazy. He also had a quarterback change too. Going from Todd Collins to the Flutie Johnson combo. But we're trying to find the comp here. Bottom line with Keon Coleman is, can he show something when the games come around? We're all going to be looking at, the rookies like a Skylar Bell. I'd like to see him on the field. But this is Coleman's to lose. That's the way I kind of view it. His spot on the roster. Something would have to go wrong. 585-866-4326. Lots of Bills talk today. We'll talk more with Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard. Got some it's funny. Wherever LeBron goes, there's just more takes and more news. We've got that. We've got a situation, an NFL team that right now, are they all in on their best offensive player and the best defensive player, or are they just gonna, take the TNT, blow the thing up, and start all over again? I'd make the argument that they should do the latter. I'll tell you about that team. And the team that lands Scooble, if it's this team, everybody's head will explode. And I think Rob Manfred and the owners would love it. They would love it. Yes, this is the trade deadline coming up August 3rd. With Tim Schneider, Dan DeLorean, my name is Gene Battaglia. This is Sports Bar on WGR Rochester.
That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
Bills veterans are back in town. Campus closed to the public and to the media today. First practice tomorrow at 8:30. Ryan Talbot from the Shout Podcast on the mixed reviews for the new Bills alternate uni.
Definitely not a gray version. You know, they have a really good color scheme with the red, white, and blue. There's people that were wanting the 90s look. There was a lot of things they could have done that would have been an easy slam dunk, and I don't want to criticize them too much for trying something new, but in the end, I'm just not a big fan.
Matt Perino from the Shout Podcast Syracuse Post-Standard will join us next hour. Rochester Red Wings opening a series tonight against the Syracuse Mets on the Major League scoreboard. Just one game this afternoon. It's the Guardians and Reds coming up at 1:40. The Yankees continue their series, looking to make it 2 in a row against the White Sox tonight in Chicago. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Raising the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
As a Bills fan, if you think back to those down years, was there ever a player where the Bills moved off of and then they landed somewhere else? You're like, oh, come on. That can't be. If you say Marshawn Lynch, you're that's revisionist history. Like, nobody knew that beast mode would blow up the way he did. It's, you look back at it, it's like, oh, that was a missed opportunity. Same thing with Jason Peters. I'm talking about like somebody like who was kind of at their peak powers in Buffalo, and then did things against you with peak powers. And I'm just bringing this up because we have the Major League Baseball trade deadline, and it's no secret that for a team with the second highest payroll in Major League Baseball, that's an absolute tire fire. That being the New York Mets. Hey, there's a for sale sign on anybody. Name your price. And Tim, to read Francisco Lindor rumors, Jeff Passan saying, he'd be a perfect fit across town. Okay. Yankee fans, he's right. Like, let's back up. Lindor's having a terrible season. He had that hammy bone, and like that set him back. And yes, he was ready to begin the season, but he hasn't been the same, particularly in the field. And like Lindor was very smooth at shortstop, didn't have to worry about anything. He's been sort of a butcher this year, but maybe that'll just kind of balance out in the end. And then you have the speculation reports, murmurs that, he and Soto don't exactly get along. And if you're looking to clear payroll, and the Mets might have to be looking to clear payroll because I don't know what's behind door number 2 when it comes to what the economics of baseball will look like in the next CBA. But if you're just being proactive in that regard, oh my gosh, would the Yankees give up some top prospects for Francisco Lindor? What would that look like? It's disheartening. And by the way, they're saying Soto might be out till September. Maybe he doesn't come back at all at this point. Like, oh, that's just fantastic. The Mets got a win over Atlanta. Shame on you, Atlanta. You should be taking care of business like that.
Lindor did have a good yesterday.
He did, and maybe that would help his value in just a little bit. The big name though isn't. Lindor is a big name, but we're not sure that the Mets are going to do anything. That's just speculation, right? It is the season for that. Trade deadline coming up, and for teams that are out of it, like the Mets, you should be looking at all your options, and that's certainly an option. The Detroit Tigers, you look at the standings, they're 6 games back in the Central, 7 games below 500. If they're being honest with themselves, they're not in it. But you could look, 4 games back in the wild card. Why not? So does this team actually keep Tarek Skubal and try to make a run for it? But are they really good enough? The thing is, this year in the American League, it might be the year you could make that argument. Like, you could have a team that kind of coasts in at the end and all of a sudden is playing in the Fall Classic. It's not a good American League in terms of the teams right at the top. It's just very average. And part of that, too, is, Aaron Judge is not available. And you're assuming that he'll come back, but we're not really 100% sure. But, hey, it's August next week. And if we get to mid-August, then you're looking at September. Are we really sold on Tampa? I feel like I'm always bashing Tampa on the show. But my point is there really isn't a runaway team. The first-place team in the West is the only team above 500. That's Texas. It's not Houston. It's not Seattle. Texas, 2 games above 500. Ooh, White Sox lost to the Yankees last night. They're still in first place. That's crazy. This is crazy talk. Tampa, the White Sox, Texas. If the season ended today. And the wild card's a little more interesting. The Yankees, Red Sox, Guardians.
Makes me feel like 1994 all over again, where none of the teams make sense, and then baseball goes away.
And they're not going to go away now because the players are not going to strike now. They want their money. So we're all going to kind of just, hold our breath and just kind of go to the offseason. But to get back to Scooble, if the Tigers are being smart at this, and I'm not sure they are, you're moving him. You should. Every team that needs a starter, well, that's a big old prize. And if you're the Phillies, boy, you want to talk about a knockout rotation. That could be just the one thing that actually gets you by the Dodgers. If you're Milwaukee, Milwaukee doesn't do anything like that. Well, one time they brought in CeCe Sabathia as a rental. You remember CeCe Sabathia, the half season as a Brewer. Look it up. Very, very good. Didn't get him in the World Series, but hey, that could you pair him and you put him with Mizorowski and everything else like that. That's a good team. Jeff Passan and others are just speculating that the team who could actually end up with Tarek Skubal would be the LA Dodgers. Now, the team that won the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes and Yamamoto won in the World Series last year. Even like a player who has been a bust. What's his name? The outfielder, the Astros.
Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, it sucks. Well, they've had to pay through the nose for that, and hey, the Dodgers didn't work out. Let's move on. Must be nice, right? You better believe that the Major League Baseball front office is rooting for this because there isn't a commercial break that goes by on my feed when I'm watching the MLB Network, or this is what doom scrolling is. I should be doing something more productive, right? I should be learning how to do something. I should be working on the show. I should be making an extra sales call. But at 8 o'clock at night, I'm tired, and I'm just looking at my social media feed, and then, there it is again. Hey, all these teams have a salary cap, and baseball doesn't. Well, let's really make the villain very, very evil. What's your wrestler there? Very good.
Danhausen.
Danhausen, yeah. Oh, the Dodgers, very evil. Yeah, let's make them the example. And for Rob Manfred, why not? If he really wants to sell this, if baseball really wants a salary cap implemented, why not go full heel this season and just hand the championship to the Dodgers, put Skubal in Dodger gear, and there goes the hope that you maybe had in Philadelphia that, hey, you pair a Wheeler and a Sanchez and Skubal now. Yeah, they're not happening. Or maybe Milwaukee. Hey, this is the thing that's going to get not happening. Notice I didn't bring up the Cubs. I don't know that the Cubs are serious. Like, I think the Cubs are more that, all right, we want to make money, but we're not going to go spend a lot of money. I think that's true. I think Passan, what he's suggesting here is, like, if Skubal ends up as a Dodger, we joke about, sometimes with the Pirates pitcher, like, Skeens is really, really good, but is he going to be a Pirate for life? Well, the answer is no. No, even if, like, they do get a salary cap to him, no. Like at some point he's going to be like, you know what, I'm good. I can kind of go make money elsewhere. Should the Pirates move him? Well, kind of on that scale, the Tigers should move Skubal. And if he goes to the Dodgers, you would hate it. I would hate it. Every Dodger fan would love it. I know.
I think I would like it.
You would like it for what?
Just chaos. The unfiltered, the the deferred year contract stuff, the ability to get whoever they want. They've gotten everybody they've wanted throughout the last 3 free agency years. They've got an all-star team on the IL.
Right,
of pitching.
I get all that, but what is, like, if you're just looking at this through Rob Manthur's front office, okay, what supports the best path for you? Hey, we're gonna create this monster here, and you, the baseball fan, need to hate the monster. Shame, shame, shame on the Dodgers. It's like you're not reeling them in. So that's why this seems like it almost would be encouraged to that standpoint. Like, oh, you think this is bad? Well, wait, let's go get that. Watch him go get Lindor. Like, what? This is a team, Tim, that paid through the nose for Edwin Diaz. And you're not going to hear it from Edwin Diaz again. No trumpets, no nothing. I don't have to deal with that.
They've gotten everybody that they could have asked for over the last few free agency periods, and they have a prospect pool on top of that they can go out and actually. That's what they don't have to spend. They can also trade.
I get all that. That's why if you're the other owners, you would be saying, can I swear in Italian on the air? Instead of Z, you'd be like, no more. And they're not doing that. The commissioner is not doing that because he is letting this run away to support his argument. Like, if you're a team that really wants to win a championship, none of these owners want to really win a championship. They really, really want money. And for the Dodgers, I think part of it is they recognize long-term, hey, this brand we're building with Ohtani and Yamamoto, 5 to 10 years from now, there'll be another Japanese superstar. And we are just going to be not only the team here in Southern California, but we'll be a global team overseas as well. I mean, in that regard, you say, boy, that's smart business. But what does that do to your other partners, the other 29 teams in this league?
If they're not willing to spend, why don't they reap the rewards?
Well, Tim, some teams don't spend, like the Guardians, that should.
Yeah.
And there's other teams that
they do spend and they can't.
They can't. Like, you can't match that. There's no way you can match the power of what the Dodgers are doing. So when I see Skubal to the Dodgers, I think of all those propaganda ads that I'm getting on my feed and you're seeing on the MLB network. And it's funny, like, you, the fan, you asked for this. And they go to a screen with like 30 different headshots of fans from around. I'm like, I don't know, like, anybody is asking for a salary cap. All we're asking for is, hey, you're the Pirate owner, spend what you should spend, and put a cap on it on the other direction. I'm just saying from the Dodgers, no more deferred contracts. And I think that would kind of fix it. Maybe ultimately that's where it's going to go. That teams will have the ability to keep pushing things as long as it's accounted for now. But the thing is, if teams raise the floor, that means the players will get a bigger share, and that's why I see baseball heading for this mess. 585-866-4326. We have Matt Perino from the Syracuse Post-Standard and the Shout Podcast to join us coming up next hour. A few things in regards to LeBron James. Funny how, like, there's these stories coming out that we can kind of get to. No, we don't have an NBA schedule out. But this LeBron going to Philadelphia makes the NBA way more interesting had he stayed in Los Angeles, had he gone back to Cleveland, had he gone back to Miami. This is something we haven't seen before. It makes it interesting. Couple notes on this as we come back. Time for your calls as well. 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia, WGR Rochester.
Out in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Yeah, one of the cool things about listening to us in the Odyssey app, which we're on 1 to 3 Eastern, well, you can go and listen to other great stations and get all their great opinions. And if you're somebody who maybe misses the old Bill Ryder show, he's available. He's doing 2 to 6 Pacific, which, all right, well, that would be, what for us, 5 p.m.? No, well, a lot of Laker talk, as you can imagine, for Bill Ryder. And the thing I always liked about the Ryder Than You show was that sometimes, like in our business, like there's a need to be Stephen A. or there needs to be, and it was just talk. That's all you want sometimes when you're driving around. And I didn't always agree with him, but I appreciated that he and Hickey, Hot Take Hickey, and it's one of those shows like, I missed that show. Well, it's available now just in a different spot. Just like how our show is kind of a different spot with a different time. Bringing up Ryder today, because sometimes there's takes that I'm like, oh, that's thought-provoking, and there's others that I'm like, oh, come on. And Ryder's getting kind of roasted for this a little bit. Like anytime like the trades pick you up, it's like, ooh, is that a take that we subscribe to, or is that one where you say, oh, no, we're a little off on here. So there's a lot of opinions about LeBron James, but I think we know what LeBron is all about, right? LeBron going back to Cleveland, was that more about him, don't mean to be punny here, righting a wrong? Or was that more, I can't stand Pat Riley, I can't stand this at all, I need a different change? I think the answer is both. That's also it too. And when LeBron won his championship in Cleveland, it wasn't a team that franchises kind of designed for long-term success, right? Mission accomplished, let's go on to the next thing, and he lands as a Laker. But if you're watching this from afar, it just didn't seem like to me this was going to be, he retires a Laker, and that would be his ultimate destination. Bill Ryder, his quote is that LeBron James is a mercenary who didn't love Los Angeles. Hard for me to say, I don't know LeBron, whether he loved Los Angeles or not. But he left Miami. Does that mean he didn't love Miami? He didn't love his hometown of Cleveland? This is who he is. This is somebody that, what is the best situation for me? And we want our athletes to always give the hometown discount and to kind of stick around. And how do you build a legacy? Well, I'm going to be identified with this franchise. See Michael Jordan, see Kobe Bryant. And LeBron has broken away from that model. LeBron is the one who provided all these steps. You realize all these former MVPs, by the way, allow me to sidetrack here, because just like when the show PTI, I got messages yesterday where I said, hey, the last team that had, before we had LeBron and Embiid, the last team that have dueling MVPs, former MVPs on the same team was the Brooklyn Nets. Totally forgot that you had Westbrook on the Denver Nuggets.
I never would have gotten that.
I blanked that.
Your question was so good, you got it wrong.
So good. And I'm like, son of a gun. Now, maybe that's just my bias, because I can't stand Russell Westbrook as a player.
Most overrated player in NBA history, in my opinion.
We subscribe to that. Yeah, we're in lockstep. Like, that guy was a stat compiler and didn't make anybody better around him. The fact that James Harden actually got better leaving that team, that was Harden, the first time around Harden and Durant in Oklahoma City. That team would have 3 players that would go on to win MVPs. So, again, that just taking a detour saying, hey, if you're listening to the show yesterday, I was wrong on that. We don't want to give, and I could say I read that wrong, Tim, where I read that somewhere. But then again, I'm the guy on the air that said it wrong. So, it's just like the circle of wrong that we're just trying to write. What was my point about LeBron? Yeah, LeBron is the guy who set this template for all these guys. Like, do the exercise. Real quick, put you on the spot. James Harden, rail off the teams he's been in order. Go.
In order? I don't know if I can do that, but Houston, Boston, not Boston. I don't know the order. LA, I don't know the order. I'm not even going to try.
Oklahoma City was the
Oh,
first
no,
step.
I know that,
Yeah,
but I thought you meant after.
Okay, let me see if I can try it.
OKC.
OKC to Houston.
LA.
No. To
Brooklyn.
To Brooklyn, to Philly, to LA,
to Cleveland.
Yeah. Now, he's nowhere near on the LeBron scale, but Kevin Durant kind of took that same approach. LeBron, he's going to be remembered for playing at a high level with multiple franchises. And the fascinating thing about the Philadelphia 76ers, I wish I could say this is going to fail. As a Knicks fan, it's going to fail. I wish I could say, hey, Philly, you're going to be in the NBA Finals. The honest answer is, I don't know how this is going to work. I have no idea. Doesn't that make it kind of fun? Doesn't that make it fun that we have no idea? I was talking to Catalana today off air about this, and my take is like Philadelphia is going to they made the postseason last year. They beat Boston, for crying out loud. So for the Sixers, just like I was saying, like with the Sabres in the regards of, hey, Sabres lose 3 straight games in November. Like, just everybody just hold on. All right, there's nothing to sweat about. Yeah, for the Sixers, yeah, LeBron's going to need a little extra time. Certainly Embiid will need a little extra time. Seems like he's got something chronic going. But if you could time this all out right and get these guys all heading in the right direction, yeah, Nick Nurse, you're on the spot there, bud. How do you manage all the minutes there? Or, excuse me, Tim, I'm being silly. Silly me to think that Nick Nurse is the head coach. You just hired the head coach,
yes,
LeBron, to come in. Another LeBron note, because how did this happen? LeBron, he didn't make his decision until Thursday night. He really was torn. Who knows what it was? Okay, so how did we end up with the Miami Heat webpage everybody found that said, oh my gosh, the Miami Heat introductory press conference on Monday for LeBron James. Here it is. And this is hilarious. And it's relatable. The social media manager was working ahead because they were on vacation.
Press the wrong button, though.
I guess, yeah. Hey, that should not be live. And truth be told, in a lot of professions, you don't get vacation. Oh, legally, we say we do. But, hey, if you're in advertising sales, if you're in illegal, my buddy Dennis, he's an attorney, and it's no, got to work here, taking the laptop on, going to the beach or whatever. This is the age we live in. And maybe we'll look back at this 50 years and be like, boy, it wasn't that dumb. But for now, if you want time off, you got to plan ahead. The work doesn't stop. So it's relatable in that regard. It's relatable in the regard that, oh my gosh, a link went up that shouldn't have. How does that actually happen? Can you imagine, the phone call Pat Riley gets when he finds out, or anybody with decision makers in Miami, wait, what? Or maybe it's Paul, the agent for LeBron, yeah, hey, Pat, I know we have our offer there, but we didn't say yes to that. What do you mean didn't say yes? Well, apparently you think it's yes because but what? You think about all the scenarios that Pat Riley might have found out.
Yeah, part of me wonders that these leaks that happened through multiple organizations, did someone in LeBron's camp plant them to see how truthful they would be with keeping it a secret?
Oh, yeah, that happens all the time. Misinformation and can I trust you? And I wouldn't put it past LeBron's people to kind of do something like that. I just found that kind of amusing, knowing that, in this day and age, these mistakes happen more frequently than not. But that's LeBron. Did that sway LeBron to say, "Oh, this Miami team isn't buttoned up. I'm going to Philadelphia"? Another thought too. The AI headline on the PTI podcast that said LeBron was going to Golden State, and we discussed that. Because if you listen to the PTI podcast, it wasn't Wilbon, it was Iasola filling in. But nowhere in that podcast does Tony Kornheiser say, suggest, infer any of that LeBron is going to be a Golden State Warrior. But there were the headlines for just the little slug line, and people were like, what? And what did that do to the prediction market? And again, I'm not down with prediction markets. You want to do that, that's great for you. But ultimately, Cleveland was the leader in the clubhouse, and Golden State had more money on it by the end of that day. And it just leads me to wonder, is that a version of insider trading these days?
100%.
Yeah, like somebody, or you can blame it on the AI or the scroll or whatever who put that headline up there, but or somebody just being more malicious. I don't know. That's just the cynic in me, just thinking things through. 585-866-4326. I'll tell you the NFL team that right now, the one thing you don't want, drama, uncertainty. You want everything to be, what's the word I'm thinking of? Boring. You want everything to be boring entering camp. Oh, sure. Optimistic. Yeah, we like this rookie, and we're excited, and, hey, we're trying this player out in this position. All that stuff is well and good. But you don't want contract stuff. You don't want long-term questions here. It's a team that right now, where the head coach, the quarterback, the best defensive player, oh, boy, I don't know where we go from here. We'll talk a little Bills football, too, with our buddy Matt Perino. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard and the Shout podcast. He'll join us as well. The rain is coming down now here at the High Falls Studios, which for now the Red Wing game is on. Hopefully they get that in tonight for the bobblehead giveaway. Downstate, they've already called off the Met game. So I guess they're getting kind of hit there. Like that's so they'll make it or try to make it up part of a day-night doubleheader tomorrow, Mets and Braves. Gene Battaglia here. This is WGR Rochester.
HD2 Rochester and everywhere you go at WGR Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. WGR Rochester. Sports Update.
The boys are back in town. Veterans of the Buffalo Bills reporting today. Campus closed to the public and the media today. First practice at Fisher, 8:30 tomorrow morning. Ryan Talbot sizing up the cornerback battle opposite Christian Benford.
I think Hairston is going to be the guy that starts this year. I think it's just going to be too difficult for a rookie to win that job. However, they're going to be monitoring, Hairston in terms of how he looks in a man defense. But it's very hard to expect a rookie to come in and do enough at training camp to unseat him.
Talbot joining us yesterday here in the Sports Bar. Matt Perino joining us later this hour. Rochester Red Wings tonight beginning a series against Syracuse. That'll begin about 6 o'clock. Mets and Braves tonight have been rained out. Kyle Manzardo, the Guardians, a grand slam. They go to the bottom of the first. Guardians up 4-0. Gene Battaglia, WGR Rochester.
Pull up a chair, stay for a while. You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coat, get sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have takes much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres, Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. Sports bar for Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2. It is football season, and we're glad you're with us here on the Sports Bar. Gene Battaglia with you. As we mentioned in the update, Kyle Manzardo is the first game of a doubleheader between the Guardians and the Reds. Kyle Manzardo, that is a world-class mustache he has there. Like, that should be like the facial hair is kind of elite. Have you thought about going that way, Tim?
Absolutely not.
Why?
No, I don't think I could pull that off for even a second. It doesn't grow correctly. There's a gap here a little bit, and I think I would just look silly.
So the recap of how Tim over the years, and for everybody that's watching on YouTube, you know, for some reason the lighting is dim around you, so you really can't see. Turn to the camera, and you can see Tim today looks like, to date myself, the old Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. You've had this look for quite a while. Circa 2010, like your last days at Bonaventure, though.
Yeah, I couldn't grow facial hair back then.
No, you were Tim Lincecum.
Yes.
So you were a dead ringer for Lincecum. Like, okay, 80 pounds, soaking wet, coming in, and just a string bean, but knowing that, okay, I don't want to mess with you on a softball diamond. Anyway, like, that's Tim Schneider, everybody.
We got that tonight, hopefully. But
yeah, that's, to have that life that you live. I was that guy at one time, Tim. I was that guy. Like, I'm playing 3-4 nights of softball. Anybody remembers the old Brad Davies show in Rochester? They go back way years. Like, we would just, Borello was part of that team. I mean, it was just, that was my existence. And then I got married, and then you got to make more money, and then more responsibility, and then, okay, maybe one night, and then, now I haven't played in years.
Hey, well, if I need somebody this week, I'll let you know.
Saying that. How many years have I been saying, hey, you need a guy to fill in?
Yeah, but now it's Bills camp, so you're not going to be able to. You're going to say you're busy.
Man, I'm the old man. When I threw out that first pitch, admit it, you were stunned. You were stunned that I could just deliver it over the plate with that velocity.
I thought that you would have the accuracy. I did not expect the gas that came with it. I was stunned is a great word for it.
Yeah.
I was befuddled.
That was
couldn't believe it.
Probably Spikes was like, "What the hell? Why is this old man trying to prove something?" You found us, the Sports Bar. We're on 1 to 3 weekdays, and welcome back to the Buffalo Bills. Back in town here. We'll talk to Matt Perino, who will be back in town tomorrow. Shop Podcast, Syracuse Post Standard. As there are storylines, there's developments. We'll talk some Bills football coming up later this hour. You're welcome to join us at 585-866-4326. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line, award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com. And maybe you're coming to town a little early for camp. That is just a little short drive away from the Fisher campus. So that would be just put in your GPS and go get some barbecue. I can't tell you the players that went over there once time because I don't,
invading their privacy.
I think so. It's not exactly HIPAA, but I don't want any like, oh, so-and-so.
They're going to be there.
Yeah, they're going to be. No. We don't want to go down that road. And also, I'm not 100% sure that Sean McDermott would have been down with his players. Like, I don't know what the rules are. Like, do you have to if it's an off day, you can eat wherever, right? So maybe that's what this was. But I don't know the timing of this. Like, let's screw this. Let's go get the good stuff. Like I don't know what that's all about. But just trust us. Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub on Commercial Street, East Rochester. 585-866-4326 is the number to call. Tampa Bay is the team right now in the NFL that if you're a fan, you're thinking, where are we going from here? Come on. Can we just have a little bit of fun here? And the idea that Baker Mayfield is going to play this out a la Dak Prescott, or maybe for Baker Mayfield, that it works in the end. I always respect the player that, okay, I'm going to bet on myself rather than taking something a little less. But Tampa Bay is that team right now that's stuck in the middle, that they're good, they'll win some games, but is Baker Mayfield, is he really a top 10 quarterback in this league?
It's funny that you say that because I had this discussion with somebody on Sunday.
And what was your take?
I got to anywhere from 8 to 14.
Right. So
yes, you could argue it, but no, I don't think he is.
I don't know if it's going to get any better. How about that? This is as good as it gets for Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, when it started out September, October last year, hey, this is really kind of good. And then it's like, the Bills cut their heart out. It made them look at it. Like, Mayfield made some plays against the Bills that game. Okay. Now, not only that, but he's not the best player on the team. And I've said this before. It's okay, right, to have a favorite team, but you can admire players. Think about this when I'm putting in this category, this exercise. What players in this league do you admire? You say, I like watching this guy play. It's okay if it's not your favorite team, but you like watching this guy play. Like some people might say Project Pat in Baltimore. I've heard that one when you have this sort of discussion.
Jamar Chase.
Okay, that's fair. For me, I love watching Vita Vea. The idea that this is way before, but somebody like an old-time wrestler. I watched it as a kid, Tim, Kamala. Kamala was this giant that would just come out. And Vita Vea, how he doesn't wear gloves. That is just like the most kind of like masculine thing. I'm gonna take you down with my raw hands. I don't need gloves. I don't know any other NFL player, not a quarterback in this league, not a running back, that doesn't wear gloves. And Vita Vea is that guy. Vita Vea is that guy that all of a sudden, hey, it's 4th and 1. He's going to kind of break it up. And now Vita Vea, what direction is this going to go? I would predict eventually he's going to get paid, but he has gone to the I'm requesting a trade here. So he's technically not going anywhere. He's making $17 million in base in 2026. However, that puts him 19th. 19th, right? No, he's where we could have the Baker Mayfield debate, and I don't think Baker Mayfield is a top 10 quarterback, but as you said, Tim, maybe 8th, maybe 9th. You could argue
it's
that.
It's a fun exercise to do.
Right. Vita Vea is definitely a top 10 defensive tackle. Vita Vea is also 31, but I think that's a position where it's not like the running back position. I think he's still in his prime here. So where do we, like, you're a Buccaneer fan, like, oh, great. All right, well, our quarterback is going to do this. Our best defensive player, probably our best player over, is requesting a trade. And who do we have as a head coach? It's like, he's still here. Oh, you're kidding me. There's a lot going on there in Tampa.
Looking at this list of players that he's paid less than is almost criminal.
Give me some.
We've got Aleem McNeil from the Lions, Nnamdi Matabuke. All these names are really easy to say.
Yeah.
Jordan Davis, that's an easy one. Milton Williams, I don't even know who that is. Like as a top 5 paid player for the Patriots. I know the name, but I did not know that he was paid that handsomely. Jalen Carter just became the highest paid player or DT today. Like right when the show went on. Zach Steeler, Christian Barmore.
Yeah.
All these guys are good players, but how many better than Villa?
Yeah, right. So that's where, all right, take care of your own guys. And they're not taking care of their quarterback. But you could say, are they trying to get better at the position? Is that the secret thing? Well, then you're not taking care of Vita Vea. And the thing is, when you don't take care of your best players, that gives a cue to everybody else on the team. All right, am I actually going to get taken care of here? And I just don't think it helps for culture. Funny thing is, like, the Tampa Bay is like the definition of farting around. Like, they were the reason why Todd Bowles hasn't been fired. They won the division 3 years in a row, but do you remember what the records were? 2022, Buccaneers, first place, 8-9. 2023, first place, Buccaneers, 9-8. 2024, first place, record, 10-7.
Consistency.
And then last year, no playoffs. They fall to 8-9.
And they cratered. They started hot.
They started hot. Who was it? It was tight end for the Falcons. Cut their heart out right in front.
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, like Kyle Pitts
became a fantasy relevant superstar.
Kyle Pitts was like, that was one where like, oh, I'm going to play Kyle Pitts, 2 points. I'm going to play Kyle Pitts, 4 points. All right, I'm going to go a different option. No. Thursday night football. Yeah. How did Todd Bowles keep his job? Because they showed improvement from year 1 to year 2, year 3, and then year 4 was bad? Because they haven't been one game below 500? This is the 500 middling team in the NFL. That's who they are. And there's all sorts of questions, with the Buccaneers. The Bills don't play Tampa this year. They played them last year. Played them twice, once in the preseason, too, if you remember that. 585-866-4326. That's really kind of the one team that you're looking at right now. One guy got paid at the position today, Jalen Carter. Oh, and he's good, too. Like, I'm not saying Vita Vea is hands down the best, but Jalen Carter, 4 years, $152 million. Rosenhaus, his agent. And Carter's 25. So the Eagles are one of these teams where I want to say they're going to fall off. I want to say, hey, this is the 4th offensive coordinator in 4 years. And Jalen Hurts doesn't have his guy in Brown anymore. But then you were like, I don't know. They still have Saquon Barkley, and they still have that defense. And it's a division that does not have a runaway contender. Sure, Dallas fans may say it's our time. The Giants should be fun, but I don't know if they're any good. And then Washington's weird. Washington 2 years ago, team that makes the championship game, and then Jalen Daniels gets hurt. And is it just going to be just one of those really one-year weird flash-in-the-pan seasons? Philadelphia right now, what I'm saying is that there isn't a team you could definitely say that's the team that's going to take the title there in the division from Philadelphia this year. I can't say that. 585-866-4326. That's our number. Are we totally into this story about the Shohei new audio? So there is a new podcast series from the 30 and 30 producers. Now, you're doing this as a podcast, right? True crime. Like women love true crime series. Well, this, I guess, sort of. Nobody loses their life here. But the title should just kind of say it all. The betrayal of Shohei Ohtani. The idea that you had somebody just bilking him out all this money as an interpreter. Do we need to kind of go over all the details on this? I don't think it's going to shed any new light that would suggest that Shohei Ohtani actually set up his interpreter as the fall guy.
I've been saying for a while that I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I think I've become one through this story just
Well,
because of how quickly it went away.
How we heard about it, and then the feds come down, and then there's sentencing. It was like boom, boom, boom. And how everything, just like Teflon, just rolled off Otani on this. The best case scenario is you're foolish. Like, you don't look at your money and you don't have financial advisors. And I mean, the only thing that's the problem here, Tim, with the whole story is obviously the language, but the culture barrier. Because any athlete in our country has a team, the agent, and there should be checks and balances. If something like this is off, then you have your business person, you have your tax person, you have this whole team around you. It's not just the agent. And the whole thing, maybe that's really what it is. It's so hard to believe that somebody could be so oblivious to theft.
You have so much money, you don't have to think about how much money you have, that you didn't realize how much of it was missing.
Well, and this is why the more I think about it, because my initial reaction, like you, was like, okay, come on. This guy is being sent off to jail for how many years to protect the superstar, allegedly? And the more I think about it, it's, you think about these all-time great athletes who have a single-track mind. That's basically their existence to get better at whatever their craft is. And you could be a musician. You could be whatever it is. You want to be the best in your field, and it just becomes an obsession. And again, I don't know if Otani is just so gifted, or he's gifted and then he has this gene on top of it. Like, look at somebody like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. Those are the easy guys who can point to. Like, yeah, they had talent. They also had something else that, boy, they lead this imbalanced life. Tiger Woods. And maybe that's really ultimately what this was. That this was Shohei Ohtani that was so focused on whatever he needed to do on the diamond that just everything else in his life, not even paying attention to. Which
$17 million, though. If somebody took $17 from me, I think I would notice it.
Again, Tim, like, does he understand what the difference between the currencies and everything? Yeah, right. The whole thing is so impossible to believe. And the idea that the interpreter, like, what was your plan ultimately? If you were taking all this money, were you going to put it back? We're just going to try to keep it quiet.
And that's part of it too. Is when it first came out, it was he asked him if he would pay it, and he was told yes. And then a day later, never mind, I lied. It's like, all right, well, got to Operation Fix This.
Yeah, that's I at some point I'll give that podcast a listen, I'm sure. Coming up, we'll talk to Matt Perino, Syracuse Post Standard, Shout podcast. He's going to be in town, by the way, too. We'll keep you updated on that as well. The Red Wing game, good sign. All right, so it's getting a little brighter here in downtown Rochester. Is there anybody lining up for the bobbleheads right now? I feel like
I'm sure there's got to be people out there at this point.
I can't get over there in time. Like, our commercial breaks are only a few minutes, so I can't exactly sprint over there. We're like 3 blocks away and then sprint back. But if you want a bobblehead, I would suggest you don't have to get down there right now, but don't show up right at the first pitch, or else you might be disappointed. 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
Bills veterans reporting today. Campus closed today to the public. First practice for the Bills, 8:30 tomorrow morning. Ryan Talbot joined us yesterday. Talbot, talking about the mixed reviews for those Bills alternate uniforms.
Definitely not a gray version. You know, they have a really good color scheme with the red, white, and blue. There's people that were wanting the 90s look. There was a lot of things they could have done that would have been an easy slam dunk, and I don't want to criticize them too much for trying something new, but in the end, I'm just not a big fan.
We'll talk to Matt Perino, the other half of that Shout podcast from the Syracuse Post-Standard. Will join us next year in the Sports Bar. Wings begin a series tonight against Syracuse at the stadium. Mets and Braves downstate. That has already been postponed due to rain. One game in the majors, game one of a doubleheader. Guardians leading the Reds 4-0. They're in the bottom of the second. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader, WGR Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Shout podcast setting up here in town next week. We'll tell you about that. Joining us here, Matt Perino, which means, Matt, if we're talking, your summer is over unofficially. Matt, how are you today? Thanks for your time. How was your summer so far?
Hey, let's relax with going to Ryan Talbot for fashion advice. This guy will show up to training camp in cargo shorts. Okay, so listen, if I want to talk about the left guard competition, if we want to talk about the punter competition, get Ryan Talbot on the line. If we're talking about uniforms, lose his number. Okay, let's just say that right now.
Oh, don't tell me. Matt, we've been searching for someone like you. Am I hearing, because we jumped in a little late there, am I hearing this correctly, that you like this new getup?
I don't care, number one. It's a uniform. Like, I have never – the things that we parade around about on social media in modern times gives me a headache half the time. But here's the thing. I didn't love them. Like, when we first saw the mock-up months ago, some fans started kind of putting some different looks out. I was like, man, these look like those clearance rack jerseys that you get at like Marshall's or TJ Maxx or something. Like, you know, they just made like a knockoff brand, or, you know, maybe you got it from overseas or whatever. I reserve judgment. We didn't really talk too much about it on the show. And then when they released them yesterday and you saw the players in them, I don't know, like they're fine. They're I don't like the color rush jerseys. So if this is replacing the color rush, I think it's kind of a cool, different change. And I get it. Like, if you like the throwback and you like the red helmet, I thought that was just so crispy last year. Like, I'd bring that out for as many as you can. I get that part of it, but I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my God, these are the worst uniforms I've ever seen. Like, I don't know. Like, everybody's a fashion expert, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's first world problems, I guess, because there's some teams that, hey, are we paying our best defensive player in Vita Vea? Are we do we have injury concerns? We have, I mean, what are the real concerns for the Buffalo Bills entering this camp, Matt? It's got the potential to be a boring camp, so to speak, or maybe not, with the idea that Joe Brady is taking over. Is everything status quo? Or do we expect to see some sort of slight changes here with Brady? To me, he's the headline, right? Like, what do we expect out of Joe Brady in his first camp here as head coach?
It's a good question. I think, first of all, just like the daily battles with the defense, like this is a little bit different because in a lot of ways it feels like two different worlds now as opposed to, you know, previous years. Like, it never really felt like Sean McDermott versus Joe Brady or Brian Dable. And in a lot of ways, it couldn't be because Sean wasn't calling the defense for a lot of those years. This is going to be good on good. This is going to be Jim Leonard's new scheme and all these new players against what is, I think, pretty commonly referred to as one of the best offenses in the league, led by one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And so those are going to be fun conversations to be had. And, you know, I think how Joe Brady handles all of it, like as we get closer to the start of the season, you know, I think it's fluctuated this offseason, like the conversation around the Bills, and, you know, they go out and they add some pieces, you know, they add a weapon, they have a new pass rusher in Bradley Chubb, a new defense. Like, there's a lot to like about him. But like the closer you get, the more you hear people maybe not buying into whether it be the personnel changes or the switch over from coaches. So I think I've maintained all offseason. Joe Brady is stepping into what I think is the most pressure-packed head coaching job in the NFL this season. Like, you can make an argument that maybe it will be the Rams because you go out and you trade for Myles Garrett and the expectations are high. Well, guess what? All Sean McVay has to do is go into his jewelry drawer and pull out the championship ring that he has. So I think this is a job where if it doesn't go well this year in any kind of way, like, I'd even say maybe even getting to the same spot they did last year could be considered a failure in a lot of ways. What are the questions they're going to be facing next offseason? And I think this is the first chance now to see, as we kind of get into the games over the next couple of weeks, how this thing shapes up.
Yeah, I guess if we're looking for areas of improvement, well, let's start on the offensive side of the ball, Matt. Do you subscribe to the theory that Sean McDermott might have been holding back the Bills' offense to play complementary football and making sure we're not putting our defense in bad situations? Should we expect maybe the Bills could open things up a little more with DJ Moore? Or is that just kind of just fictitious, meaning like it was Joe Brady, after all, calling the plays here? Where do you come down on where this offense should be? Is it status quo, or should we expect maybe to open things up a little bit more?
I definitely think the expectation should be that things get opened up a little bit more. And I don't know if Sean was necessarily hanging over every offensive game planning meeting and making sure that they ran the ball. Like, they had a lot of success with the way they built their run game. And that's something that makes them really hard to handle. I mean, one of the first things that Jim Leonard said when he came over here is like, yeah, we get to go against Josh Allen every day in practice, but we also get to go against that run game. And so when you're elite at something in the NFL, you have the NFL's defending rushing champion. That's not something you're going to run away from. But in the passing game, over the last couple of seasons, we've just seen the minimization of the deep pass and the deep ball in this offense. I think DJ Moore helps it. I think the emphasis on supporting Keon Coleman this offseason gives him maybe an opportunity to be some type of deep threat in this offense too. Like, when they drafted him, I remember them talking about him being a go up to the rim and, meet me at 10 feet kind of pass catcher that's going to compete with defensive backs and be physical down the field. Like, go watch some of his tape at Michigan State and Florida State. I mean, this dude is, 20, 30, 40 yards downfield, ripping the ball away from defenders. Like, that's something that I think maybe they lean into a little bit more. Joe Brady's has invested and has as much at stake with Keon Coleman as anybody else, right? He did that this offseason with some of the things that he said. So, I definitely think it's not something that Sean was saying don't do it, but when you're doing something so well, I could see that being – it's easy to kind of rest on your laurels and lean into what you do well. Joe Brady has some talent in this room, and whether it be Khalil Shakir and DJ Moore or maybe a Skylar Bell that gets a package of plays where they can kind of utilize him down the field, there's players that can do it. And the play that Josh Palmer got hurt on last year was like a 20-yard route down the field where, he can get to the second and third level as the fourth wide receiver in this offense and put pressure on teams. I think they got a bunch of guys that can do it. Dalton Kincaid too.
Coleman is fascinating, and the thing is, like, we're going to just have daily Keon Coleman report. It might be great one day, might be okay then. We're really not going to know, right, Matt? But here's my question, because I think we all know what the floor could be for Keon Coleman, right? And I think he knows that too. But what is the ceiling? And I'm going through this, and there's nothing to me that would suggest, whether it's targets or receptions, whatever it is. To me, he's number 4 on the team right now. I would put, assuming everybody's healthy, DJ Moore, Khalil Shakir, and then Dalton Kincaid, who you'd like to see. Or am I wrong on that? Is the ceiling higher? And it's a question, Matt, that I'm asking you that really we don't know, but is there something we said the ceiling could actually be higher for Keon Coleman?
I definitely think that there's a hypothetical ceiling that's higher. Have we seen enough through 2 years to, place that as a realistic target for him in year 3? Probably not. I expect him to be consistently out of the wide receiver room, like the third highest target share behind Khalil Shakir and DJ Moore. I think he's probably over Josh Palmer, Tyrell Shavers. He's going to probably take a little bit of time to get back from that injury. And so I think that there's a monster opportunity for him. And you asked about Joe Brady at the beginning. Another interesting thing, Blake, how do they treat Skylar Bell in this offense this season? Is he somebody that they're going to be comfortable with giving targets to? Or is it going to be one of these similar stories that we've gotten used to in Bill's world where rookies got to like prove it and earn their keep? And a lot of times rookies don't get a lot of opportunities their first season. I argue that the evolution of this team could be leaning into some of their younger playmakers especially, but on both sides of the ball. A Caleb Elam-Zor could be somebody that you ask to do a lot from day one. And there's been examples of it over the years. I mean, Tremaine Edmonds, Josh Allen. I mean, there's been some guys that have, but in terms of like day 2 and day 3 picks, how much are you going to, ask of them from the jump? I feel like Bell's as pro ready as you can find in a prospect. The guy was one of the best receivers in college football last year. There might be a world where you bring him in and maybe he has the kind of training camp or summer that makes you comfortable maybe floating Josh Palmer as a trade candidate or something like that as somebody that has struggled to stay healthy.
Yeah, and when we brought up Elam Orr's name, that's where I was going to go next because we talk about the camp battles, right? Okay, Alec Anderson, left guard, who's going to get that position. But to me, I really don't know, Matt, and I'm just curious to get more of your insight here. If we're just going at that position, I want to give Bernard a pass because I don't think he was all that healthy. But then again, it's kind of frequent with him, and it is a new coordinator, a new system. Do you move Bernard to the outside? Where does this mean Dorian Williams? Like, how would you assess that competition at both positions at linebacker entering this camp?
So I think Elam-Zor is the backup plan at both spots. I think that, to play the Mike position, you got to have a lot of trust in the guy, but everything coming out of the Bills camp this spring was that this guy was exceeding in that department of things. He's gone out there. He understands the concepts. He understands, he's taken over the huddle in a lot of instances. I mean, Joe Brady brought up one where he basically, chased Joe Brady out of the huddle, like taking control of things. And at first you'd think the head coach would have some kind of feelings about that, but he said he loved it. And that's the kind of player they're expecting him to be. I agree. I think Terrell Bernard's going to get an opportunity, but this might be his last opportunity to prove that he can stay healthy. Like if you get into the season, you get a couple games in, and he goes down for another multi-week injury, I mean, this thing's going to pass him by. I mean, they're going to have to go with guys that they can trust, and a lot of times you give an opportunity to a young player, if they take advantage of it. The veterans sometimes they can't stay on the field. That job's not waiting for them when they get back. The Dorian Williams one is interesting because it's kind of been a little bit of a mystery. Like, he had the neck injury in the Broncos game last year, missed the entirety of that game, goes into the offseason, and, a couple of us, honestly, wasn't even me. Matt Beauvais, I'll give him credit, from Channel 7 in town, saw Williams in the weight room on crutches right at the end of the offseason program. And by all accounts, he's going to be ready to go for the start of training camp, but we'll see. And that's going to be a big topic with Joe Brady tomorrow. Like, where is Dorian Williams? How did basically the missed spring program affect his starting point? And there's not a lot of depth in that room, right? Like,
No.
You're looking at Joe Andreessen, a guy that's been here for a couple of years as a UDFA, another UDFA, and Keonta Jenkins. There's guys out there. There's guys waiting for opportunities, but I think they're still out there because they want some type of chance to start on a team. And I don't know if that exists right now in Buffalo with those three guys that I started off mentioning. But it's going to be interesting if either one of those guys can't stay healthy during training camp. Do the Bills get aggressive about maybe bringing in some other options?
Yeah, well, Shaq Thompson, just keep working out, bud. You never know how this might go. Matt Perino, Shout Podcast, Syracuse Post Standard. Matt will be in town tomorrow. He's also going to have a public appearance. We'll tell you about that here in just a little bit. I want to ask you about a player that this time last year we had questions about Cole Bishop. And then, to his credit, all of a sudden the light bulb went on, and it was a good second season for Cole Bishop. Matt, I'm not concerned is a strong word, but I just don't want to pencil him in just saying there's going to be more growth year 2 to year 3, knowing that This is a whole new system. So your thoughts on Cole Bishop, and he doesn't have a Jordan Poyer next to him anymore. He has a totally different, you could say maybe even polar opposite in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Your thoughts on Bishop entering camp number 3?
Well, maybe I'm setting myself up to be very, very wrong here, but I'm probably on the other side of this thing. I think that if we're talking about like who are the surest bets on the defensive side of the ball to transition into this scheme, I'd put Cole Bishop at the top, like pretty close to it, as somebody that I think is going to be maybe even better suited to lean into his skill sets because of the versatility that he has and the versatility that Jim Leonard asks his safeties to have. I mean, if you go back and watch a lot of the Broncos stuff over the last couple of years and even go back to Wisconsin, I mean, you're going to see these guys playing at the line of scrimmage. They're interchangeable parts. They can do multiple things. And I think one of the first guys that Jim Leonard talked about when he took the job was Cole Bishop, and he studied him coming out of Utah, and he's somebody that he liked. And I think this is one of the players that Jim Leonard has the opportunity to put his stamp on this defense with a player like Cole Bishop. And I think he's somebody that is going to grow to another level under Jim Leonard. Like, I mean, what better coach can you have than a guy that did it in the league for as long as Jim Leonard did it in some of the best defenses under Rex Ryan? And they're going to be aggressive, and they're going to be, playmaking and ball hawking. And to me, that's what Cole Bishop does best. Like, get him around the ball and let him make plays. And I think in Jim Leonard's scheme, they're going to set him up to do that. The only question mark that I have with Cole Bishop has nothing to do with football. It's the injury stuff. Like, he missed a bunch of the offseason program too, and that's been kind of the knock on him in his first 2 years. Like, he got over it a little bit last year, and you hope that he can kind of continue that path forward. But if I have any reservations about Cole Bishop, it's just the injury part.
Matt, it's a shorter camp. Normally after the blue and the red scrimmage, the team would come back here for another. They got rid of it. Any insight as to why it's a shorter camp, or perhaps, and maybe this is just paranoid me and every other Rochester fan, we know in the future maybe when the stadium needs and there'll be development around there that maybe camp isn't here. Your thoughts on this? In terms of the time they've been here, this is the shortest time that the Bills have ever made the trek down here.
Yeah, it is, and I think unfortunately for Rochester fans and fans in general that want to come out to the practices, like, I've always thought that this made more sense to like end it when they go back for the red and blue game. Like, that's kind of a big ask if you think about it. Like, you're already having these players for 12 days living out of dorm rooms on the road away from their house. Then you come back and you go one night in your house, and then you're going back for like 4 or 5 more days on the other side of that. I always thought that the red and blue game was like a natural ending point for camp. Now, I don't know if in the future they can maybe move that back a couple days, or how they can kind of, situate it to maybe get a little bit more time in Rochester. But I also think, like, listen, you know me, Gino. I say this on the show every year. My favorite time of year is the however long we get at Fisher and in Rochester and the surrounding areas. I think it's the most fun that we have all season long. But I just think from a player and NFL perspective, it makes more sense to kind of truncate it a little bit and shorten it a little bit and get them back and get them kind of going in the rhythm back in Buffalo. And I also don't think that this necessarily is an indicator that they're looking to get away from this. I just think it makes more sense to, hey, let's do this for like a dedicated period of time, makes sense logistically from when we're starting and when we're finishing, and, streamline all parts of the process. And I just think it's just a more natural endpoint more than anything else.
Matt Perino, along with Ryan Talbot, who I think you're shortchanging Ryan on his abilities to identify good fashion and bad fashion here. But I'll let you guys debate that on the Shout podcast. But before we tell everybody what's coming up here on Syracuse.com, the Shout podcast, you're on remote next week in our town, Matt. Tell everybody about the live event that's going to be coming up.
Yeah, man, I cannot wait. We are coming to the Mafia Hub. I mean, I don't know if there's a better spot that the Shout Podcast could come to in the 585 area code than what is probably one of the homes for Buffalo Bills fans in town. It is a really cool venue, decked out in Bills paraphernalia. They're going to host us for a live episode of the show We'll be down there 6 to 8. I usually get there a little bit earlier. We'll be hanging out for as long as fans want to hang out. And it's just a cool new spot. We've been to Dorado the last couple of years. We love them over there on Park Ave. This was an opportunity that came about and a different spot in town, and we're super excited to have people experience the Shout Live podcast, because I think we like to think anyway, humbly, we do it better than anybody, and it's a fun, interactive way to participate in the show.
Yeah, and I don't have to just ask for the invite. I can just barge right in. So can anybody else
Heck
here,
yeah, man.
That's it.
Come
So
on in.
that's next Thursday. Not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, the night before you guys break for camp. What can we check out on the Shout podcast this week, Matt, and the Syracuse Post-Standard as well?
Daily practice reports. These are some of the most sought-after podcasts all season long. People that can't be at St. John Fisher, and obviously the tickets are limited. This is an opportunity to get as close to the field as you can without being there. We're going to bring you observations, reactions, injury updates. Every single part of training camp will be covered on the pod.
Well, we will see you tomorrow, Matt. Appreciate it. Welcome to a new season. Thanks for your time today, bud.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, Matt Perino. We'll have a final thought coming your way next year. In fact, something you want to check out when you get home tonight. Just kind of, it'll cleanse your timeline, as they say. Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester.
best local sports talk in the Flower City. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
I want to know what happened to the squirrel in Detroit last night. Like,
Got sent into oblivion by Tavares.
Yeah, like, right. So animals on the field, always kind of fun, right? And here's a squirrel, right? And this squirrel is running on the warning track, comes on the infield, goes out the right field. This goes on for a total of 10 minutes. And when I tell you, just look up John Boy Media or any of the you can find it anywhere, like the long form of this. This squirrel has moves. And when I'm telling you, there's a dozen grounds crew people out there trying to corner this thing. This thing, like, and granted, like, it's kind of tricky, too, because do you really want to go all in, trying to catch a squirrel? Like, you don't know, like, honestly, I don't.
I'm all set on rabies.
I don't really want that. And you brought it up, too. Like, all right, so the right fielder for the Orioles, Leonidas Tavares, he has the squirrel in his glove. He gets the squirrel, and the squirrel jumps out, and that's it. And this is like the unexpected entertainment that just kind of delayed this game. No, this is not going to provide a rallying cry for the Tigers, by the way. If the Tigers had beaten the Orioles, then the squirrel would have become a thing, right? The squirrel, yeah.
That happened with the Cardinals like 15 years ago.
Yeah,
Rally squirrel.
Yeah, it's happened a lot. Like, for the Mets and Cubs, the one year worked in reverse, where you had a cat walk across, and that doomed the Cubs supposedly, because everybody looks for omens and signs like that. This was just it's just funny. I wouldn't be able to corral a squirrel, but that's just my question. Like, does anybody know what happened to this squirrel? Did they just release it back into the streets of Detroit?
Hope it shows back on the field again today.
Like honestly, like that squirrel was like right. Like that's
I live here now.
I live here now. And I'm not one to think of reincarnation or anything like that, but just for the sake of this exercise, like say, Tim, you came back as a squirrel, but you still had your Tim mind.
Oh boy,
you like that would be like you. Like, okay, I'm gonna get into the game. I'm gonna just have some fun here.
We're out here, yeah.
Run around. Tomorrow, training camp opens. Joe Brady talks. Boy, that take from Matt Perino was interesting, because I'm curious as to, all right, does Cole Bishop continue on this path, or is there possibly a step back? And Matt's like, no. Matt is all in on Cole Bishop. Like, if you're thinking like Sean McDermott, former safety himself. No. Jim Leonard was a former safety who played in this league, who played for Rex Ryan, who knows exactly how to be aggressive. So Cole Bishop, can he bring his game and just do more things? That's going to be fun. It's going to be fun watching this defense evolve. Now, like, what's the timeline for it? How long is this going to take? There are a lot of dudes here. How long? It all starts tomorrow. Day one of this long process, beginning July 29th, and if it goes according to plan, ends on the night of Valentine's Day. That would be the Super Bowl. Matt Perino was in hour number 2. If you missed that, Dandalorian has it up in podcast form wherever you get your fine audio. You can also listen to the show anytime. Download the Odyssey app. 1 to 3 Eastern, we are on locally. So think of us as your 2-hour daily podcast when it comes to Rochester sports. We're on demand, and it is not edited. So if I say something dumb, it's out there forever. Tomorrow on the show, 13 Wham's Mike Catalana will be joining us as we'll talk about day number 1. We'll also talk to the college roommate of one Connor McGovern, that being Charlie Schumann, former Penn State player, and get an injury update as we go about our business at camp. For Tim Schneider, for Dandalorian, my name is Gene Battaglia. Show up in the Bulldog coming your way next year on Rochester Sports Leader, WGR Rochester.